Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to have a little chat with you guys because I was supposed to upload a review this week. This review is going to be about Kanye's new album with Ty Dolla $ign called Vultures Volume 1. This is supposed to be the first album out of a 3-volume series, I believe, and a lot of people were, excited for this record. First of all, because it's Kanye West, one of the, most popular rappers of all time, and number two, because a lot of people thought that Kanye was going to address a lot of his controversies in this album. I myself was looking forward to this album because even though it's clear that Kanye seems to enjoy controversy and seems to be someone that, the more attention comes to him, no matter if it's negative or positive, the better. And especially if it comes around the time that he's releasing an album. For him, I don't know why every time that he's releasing a record, he seems to involve himself in these controversies that do nothing but stain the legacy of the album, and the overall, conversation about the record stops being about music and it's more about if the music is good enough for us to overlook a lot of the things that Kanye has been doing as of late or around the time he released the album in question. However, with this album, I felt a little different. I started, I usually write a script before I do a review to kind of have an idea of what I'm going to say. And as I got into the review of this album, I couldn't really say anything. I had nothing in my mind. The review was very shallow and empty. If I were to say everything I said on my script, I think the video would be like 4 minutes long. I just didn't have a lot of things to say about this album, and I couldn't really understand why. It's 16 songs, as you may or may not know if you follow Kanye. The production is pretty lush, it's really dense, you have a lot of things to break down, so I couldn't really grasp the reason why I didn't really want it to talk about this album that much. That is until I saw this wonderful video released by Anthony Fantano. You may know him as The Needle Drop. He is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, music channel on YouTube, and on Twitter he's really popular too. He's basically very big on social media, and he's very influential when it comes to the public's opinion on an album, to the point where he gets to release the review almost a week later after the album was released, and he still gets a lot of views for the review. He released this video called Unreviewable 1, and that's basically him not doing a proper review of the album, but more than anything explaining why he's not going to do one. It did explain a few of the sound palettes that the album had to offer. He gave his opinion on a lot of the tracks here, none of them in a positive note, by the way. But more than anything, it was just him ranting about Kanye's recent, comments and actions and behaviors that, although they're really weird, I think that a lot of people overlooked because he is Kanye West. He released a lot of music that we love. And I myself don't really agree with, crucifying an artist based on their, actions as humans. For me, we have to separate the art from the artist, and that was my approach going into this album. However, I don't feel like I've ever witnessed an artist with as much as audacity as Kanye West. Like, honestly, I don't really understand how someone can be so deluded to the point where you constantly make things that angry and hurt people and offend people, and you don't seem to care. And actually, not only do you not care, but you decide to flex about it and act as if it's some sort of trophy, which is exactly what Kanye West, does in this album. And when you look at music overall and all the allegations that have been made to artists, whether it's sexual abuse or child abuse, whether we're talking about criminals or people who just don't have a very nice attitude, it's always something alienated to the music. It's never directly related to the songs, to the lyrics, to the concepts that the music has to offer. So this case, I don't think we've ever seen a point in time in music where the artist kind of flexes about his controversies on the songs. Obviously, we've seen people reference their controversies on the song, but it's always from a point of reflection or as a little, story time part in their song. It's never, in support of their own actions or in support of that controversy. It is the first time I've seen someone take everything that's bad about them and mix their music into that too, you know, because Kanye is a very controversial person. As I said before, he's done multiple things that I personally don't agree with at all. Even outside the Nazi and this whole, you know, white supremacist stuff, he's done a lot of things I don't really appreciate. He doesn't really treat his fellow rappers all that good. He tends to humiliate people publicly, leave producers without, you know, their job just because they don't want to stay in the studio 24/7, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month. Overall, Kanye doesn't seem to be the kind of guy I would like to hang out with. However, that never really affected my thoughts on his music. And mind you, it shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't affect your thoughts on the music at all, especially if it's private issues, especially if it doesn't use his albums to endorse or to promote this sort of behavior. But with this record and, you know, with this past controversy he was involved in, I think we can all agree that he kind of overstepped the line. He kind of went a little bit too far. You know, when Elon Musk has to ban you from Twitter, you know that you're going a little bit too far, because I'm pretty sure you all know if you're watching this video, but he decided to go on a racist and anti-Semitic rant on Twitter, and in real life too. He basically became Hitler's #1 fan. I know that he only said a few comments about him, but the comments were really concerning. He also started to promote Nazi imagery on his Twitter account, which is what eventually got him banned. And overall, he just started acting really weirdly. He started making a bunch of interviews where he started to explain himself with the whole Nazi thing, saying that his only problem is how the Jews control the, you know, the industry, how they're taking all their money away, even though we're literally talking to a billionaire, and, you know, at the very least, you're fine. You don't need money. However, I think that even after everything he said, even after, you know, everything he's done and this incredibly concerning behavior he has, I think I still wouldn't mind if the music was something completely alienated to that Kanye we've been seeing on the news, constantly saying all these super offensive things about the Jews and, you know, overall being a total racist. And that is when it clicked. That's when I understood why this album is so bizarre and so disturbing to me. Because this is basically Kanye acting proud and mighty about the things he said and about his, you know, political ideologies. And this has to be one of the most childish, stupid, and, you know, overall ridiculous lyrical concepts Kanye has ever delivered. First of all, in the very first track on the album, Stars, he literally jokes about this controversy, or if it's not a joke, it's completely ridiculous, a completely stupid attempt to kind of sympathize with the Jews. This whole keeping Jews on the staff thing doesn't really mean anything to anyone, especially the Jews. And not only that, but there's multiple lyrics on this album that basically flex about this past controversy, showing that Kanye doesn't really have any sort of regret about this whole, you know, thing with the Jews and the Nazis. In a recent interview, he said that, "I'm sorry that, you know, kids got involved into an adult conversation," saying or implying that everyone who doesn't really want to see the bigger picture of what he said is a child or is not mature enough, when there's literally nothing more immature that the behavior he's having towards, you know, the creation of this album and how this album, you know, presents itself. And he's always presented himself like this sort of, you know, God of truth that is supposed to open our eyes and show us the wicked ways of the world. But honestly, every time he tries, every time he gets the opportunity to do so, he disappoints every single one of his fans. And I really stand by what I said before. I think we should separate the art from the artist. But as Anthony Fantano said, you can't really do that in this case, because the, you know, the everything that Kanye is criticized for is in this album. The album is Kanye. Kanye decided to bring his personal opinions and, you know, political ideologies to the music, and in a very raw and unapologetic way, and you can't expect us to enjoy listening to this shit. If you take all the political things, all the racist comments on this album, and all the references to past controversies that Kanye has had, you don't really have an album. The lyrics in this album outside of Kanye are so incredibly and just painfully cliche. And that's not saying that Kanye's verses in here are good. His vocal inceptions are ridiculously bad. This ideas that he tries to include in this album, like in the song Back to Me, the way he sings that sample sounds terrible. I don't really care what you guys say. It was not properly recorded. Then you have the song Talking, which is another song that was really popular because of the participation that North, his daughter, had on this song. But her verse is really bad, dude. Like, I know she's a child, but she knows English, and I'm pretty sure she could have done something way better than just saying bless me 100 times and saying Miss Westie is gonna get messy. That's literally the verse. Also, the flow of the album is terrible. You have this grand arena hymns that Kanye is known for, with a lot of choir and really dense instrumentals behind it, but you also have R&B tracks that are basically just put on the album so Ty Dolla $ign has something to do on the record, because he definitely does not fit with the epic nature of a Kanye West song. The one-liners and the punchlines in this album are really bad too. There's this line in the song Hoot Rat, which is one of the worst songs on the record. I don't know what made Kanye think that putting, repeating Hoot Rat again and again counted as a beat. But there's this line that says, I know I got a nice whip, but I hope we can be on one accord, like, accord as in being on the same terms, and also the car. Even though the songs sound kind of finished and the album seems to be, a full record, it doesn't seem like the album was rushed or anything like that. This has to be a messier album than Jesus is King or Donda. Like, this is definitely not a good record from Kanye. And the fact that he decided to basically flex about all his controversies, Nazi behavior, anti-Semite comments, and just overall incredibly toxic personality, I think makes this album even worse. So I can't really separate the art from the artist. Obviously, my thoughts on Kanye's recent behavior has a lot to do with the album, because that is the album. Kanye's personality and ideologies and overall just thoughts cloud the album. So I can't really, if you take that away, you just have a bunch of sounds put together. There's nothing there. And I know that people like to take little pieces of his interviews where he sounds, arguably sane, and take that and put it out there on TikTok and social media and say Kanye is not crazy, it's just misunderstood. But if the only thing you have to offer me is a 30-second video where he's saying something remotely normal, you're being delusional and you're just lying to yourself so you can try and enjoy this album. But even if you do that, you're not going to be able to do it, because this album is not good. This record, it has a lot of flaws. It has a lot of production problems. The instrumentation is pretty basic, and it lacks the density that a typical Kanye West album has. And then obviously the lyrics in this record are incredibly cliche. It's not that I hope to listen to all these other rappers singing about insightful or deep concept or narratives, but overall the one-liners, the rhymes, and everything else sounds so plastic and mediocre. I don't like this album at all. However, that is only my personal opinion. I know you guys have your own. I know that a lot of Kanye fans are going to be mad in the comments. However, I expose myself to you guys. I expose myself to your opinions. If you think I'm being unreasonable, if you think I'm being immature, go ahead and leave it down below in the comments, and I'll make sure to check it out, and I'll think about it. The reason why I started this channel is because I want to debate with you guys. I want to have conversations with you guys, so don't feel scared to call me out in the comments or just say anything, even if it sounds a little mean. Again, I expose myself to that in order to have a conversation. If you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you did, go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos that I upload. If you want me to talk about any songs, albums, or artists, go ahead and leave it down below as well, and I make sure to check it out and feel free to request as soon as I can. With that being said, once again, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that I can see you soon with a new video. But until then, bye.